the mic.
Get on the mic.
Just get on the mic. Get on the mic, Mike.
Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Get on the Mic. This is the show where you put me in front of a microphone with a few notes, and I talk about the things that have interested me throughout the week in the world of entertainment and anything else I feel like talking about. Today on the program, we're going to be talking about Ryan Reynolds being cast as Pikachu, the Disney-Fox deal that won't seem to go away, thankfully. And if that deal goes through, we're going to be talking about Hugh Jackman possibly returning as Wolverine. We're going to be talking about Patrick Stewart, talking about what role he would come back and play and what role he would not come back and play. We'll also be talking about Rian Johnson's new Star Wars trilogy, J.J. Abrams' involvement in The Last Jedi, and the possibility of a Quentin Tarantino Star Trek movie. First up, Ryan Reynolds joins the live-action Pokemon movie Detective Pikachu as the voice of Pikachu. I will say that in a way this came as a big surprise to me, but then again, knowing how Ryan Reynolds likes to do marketing, it kind of isn't a surprise, and we'll talk about that in a bit. I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan, but my kiddos watch it every now and then. I know a little bit from when they watch it. I mean, when it comes to those Pokemon that can speak, I know there's only a few, other than their own name anyway. I know there's Meowth. If I had to say I had a favorite Pokemon, it'd be him. I just like the character's attitude. I know there's Mewtwo, who's like a human-created Pokemon. I don't know a ton about it. But I know that most of the Pokemon only, speak in their own names, like Pika Pika, So, I don't know much other than the basics, I guess you could say. I never played the games. I never had a Game Boy in my house. It was kind of past me. The first Game Boy I ever had in the house I lived in was 1 year ago when I got my kid a 3DS, and he has the first Pokemon game, or at least the yellow version of it. So, I don't know much other than from what the cartoon has and everything, but apparently in the movie Pokemon I Choose You, Pikachu speaks anything, or he speaks something other than his name for the first time. And from what I'm hearing, the hardcore fans are not real happy about this because Pikachu always seemed to be a character that spoke with his actions, and the way he would say his name would show how he was feeling and show his emotion and everything. So, apparently it's not going over too well. So when they make this movie, what language is Pikachu going to speak in? That's the big question. While I would like to think they might go gutsy and have Ryan Reynolds speaking in the Pika Pika type of talk, a la the way George Clooney played the dog in South Park, where he was just a dog. It was like the dog voiced by George Clooney, but it's George Clooney barking, But I'd have to guess that they probably go the full sentence route because they got Ryan Reynolds. I mean, why would you waste him in that way? But that being said, Ryan Reynolds has done weird marketing and everything else to get a movie over, and a movie like this kind of needs to get over. So I don't know what they're planning on doing. The stuff I've seen from the movie, in which there hasn't been much, I can't say I'm real excited about or anything. And again, I'm not a big Pokemon fan, so I don't have a lot of stock in this movie. One interesting note about this, though, is that Ryan Reynolds may have teased the casting a little over a year ago. It was August or September. He tweeted out a picture that he said someone sent to him, and it was of a Deadpool Pikachu mashup picture. And he tweeted, "I don't know who made this, but thank you, #maximum effort." So maybe he's known for a while. I mean, look at how they marketed Deadpool. They marketed that thing for how long before that movie came out? Just little by little. A lot of it wasn't even stuff from the movie. It was just cool marketing stuff. He could be doing something like that again when it comes to this movie. So who knows? We'll keep you updated on anything new we hear about that. Next, we're going to be talking just a little bit about the Disney and Fox deal. Come to find out, Disney and Fox could be announcing a deal between the two of them as early as Wednesday next week. For those that don't know the details, Disney is wanting to buy the studio and television production assets, not the news and sports ones. They can't have the news stuff because they already are a network and own ABC. So they can't run Fox and ABC News. There's rules behind that. Don't ask me about the official stuff, but there's rules behind that. And the same thing goes with sports. Disney already owns ESPN, so they can't have Fox Sports, but they want the television production assets. We all know that involves Star Wars stuff, some Marvel stuff. There's other little things here and there. Fox apparently is still talking with Comcast, but the talks with Disney are going better and more significant, according to CNBC. And yeah, they're talking about next week. And if the deal happens next week, we will talk about it here on the program. If that deal goes through, here's an interesting thing I want to talk about. If the deal goes through, would Hugh Jackman return as Wolverine? In February, near the release of Logan, Jackman talked about just that, even though it was a little more unlikely at the time that there would be any kind of deal, even though, Disney did make a deal with Sony for Spider-Man. But Jackman had this to say about it. He said, "If that was on the table when I made my decision to quit, it certainly would have made me pause, that's for sure. Because I always loved the idea of him within that dynamic, with the Hulk, obviously, with Iron Man, but there's a lot smarter people with MBAs who can't figure out that." I'm talking about the deal. You never know. Now, here's the thing. Do I think he should come back? Well, I would definitely probably lean towards no. I do have to say this. I could go either way. Look, you would obviously, for one, could in a way say yes, because it would be cool to see him interact with the different MCU characters. Hulk, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Cap, all of them. There's so many different stuff you could do with Wolverine and those characters. That being said, I lean towards no, because Logan was such an amazing send-off for that character that I don't think they could do anything better than that. Look, if Logan had never come out, I would say 100% MCU, right? But the fact that we got Logan, the fact that we got to see Hugh Jackman finally get to play Wolverine the way we know he could play Wolverine, and the brutal, violent type of Wolverine, the Wolverine we've always wanted, we finally got it. And granted, we have the R-rated Deadpool to thank for that, because they finally realized that they should take a chance on a movie like this. And of course Logan did really well too. I don't think they could do any better. Yeah, you'd bring him back and it'd be cool to see him interact with those characters, but and I know they're probably going to recast it, and I think I'd rather them in a way do that than bring Hugh Jackman back. If they're ending this Fox era of X-Men movies and they're going to be doing some more stuff within the MCU, I don't think I want to see Jackman play Wolverine again. I'm not saying I don't love him in that part. I just don't think he should do it again. They should just start over and use someone else. And I know it's such a fine line, because he is Wolverine, right? He's been Wolverine forever. But, he just got that perfect send-off, and I just don't think they could do better. I don't think I'd want to see them try, but you never know. I mean, if they gave him something cool, they'd probably do it. I don't know. The deal hasn't even happened yet, but it's cool to speculate. But yeah, I would have to say I'd lean towards no when talking about bringing him back to play Wolverine. Now, we definitely found out one person who won't be returning to the X-Men movie universe. In an interview, Patrick Stewart was talking about the two of his most famous roles and whether or not he would return to them. He was talking about Jean-Luc Picard and Charles Xavier. And first he had this to say about Captain Picard. He said, "Oh Lord, I cannot think of another instance in which that might happen. My feeling is I hung up the spacesuit and left all that behind a long time ago. Maybe if someone came up with a brilliant idea, I'd do it. One thing that might interest me would be to bring all the existing casts of Star Trek from the last 50 years together for one big story." And then he commented on playing Professor X again, and he was referring to his role in Logan, which I guess they just watched again. And he said, it became very clear to me that there would never be a better way of saying goodbye to the franchise than the one I just witnessed. Charles dies in Logan's arms with Logan profoundly saddened. No better opportunity to say au revoir could ever extend itself. And, you know, when it comes to both the roles, I couldn't agree with him more. Picard's last official outing, not counting video games and Robot Chicken and things like that, was Star Trek Nemesis. Enough said. That character deserves another shot. That being said, Stewart's role in Logan was so good that, like Hugh Jackman, I don't think that he could top his performance. And though I take no real stock in, you know, the Oscars or award shows or anything like that, if he doesn't at least get recognized in some award shows for his role as Xavier in Logan, then, I mean, it's just sad. I can tell you right now that in my yearly award show, he will probably at least be in the running for Best Supporting Actor for that role. Now, I haven't gone through all the movies and everything. I am in the process of doing that, going through every movie I saw this year. But, I mean, he's a pretty strong contender for Best Supporting Actor for the Opies. That's the Real Opinion Awards, named after the TV segment I used to have was The Real Opinion, and I just didn't want to change it to the Genos. You know, the Opies just stuck. I don't think they could do anything to top his performance in Logan, just like Hugh Jackman. And I don't think I'd want to see him try. I want to see Patrick Stewart do other things. And I think most people that watch Logan want to see that too. They don't want to see him try again. I wouldn't say it would tarnish his performance or anything, because, I mean, I'm sure if he did another movie, he'd do it well, but I just think they need to move on because he got to end in a perfect way. Logan was a darn near perfect superhero movie, and honestly, I would argue that it's a better superhero movie than The Dark Knight. You know, a lot of people, say that's the best superhero movie. I would argue that Logan's better. That's a debate for another day. But yeah, Stewart basically said, he'd return as Picard if the story is right, but returning as Professor Xavier, he's done with the role. Next, we're going to talk about Ryan Johnson's new Star Wars trilogy. Look, The Last Jedi's coming very soon, and I got to tell you guys this, that after recording this, other than a few scheduled posts here and there, I'm going on a bit of an internet fast. And I usually do this. I did it for The Force Awakens. I did it for Rogue One. And I'll probably do it for future Star Wars movies. That I go on a bit of an internet fast so I can avoid everything Star Wars till after I see The Last Jedi. Because as we talked about last week, I am so sick of seeing people try to spoil things that they know or think they know on the internet. So once I post this, you're not going to hear much from me until after I see the movie. But one story that did pop up that I found interesting was that the details about what Ryan Johnson's new Star Wars trilogy is not going to be has been released by Johnson himself. In an interview, Johnson was asked if his new trilogy was going to be Knights of the Old Republic based on the video game. And he had this to say about it. He said, "I played that game when it first came out, and it was like, God, I loved it. Yeah, that's a fantastic game, and I understand it, the instinct to automatically go to something that you know and love, that you've already seen. To me, what's really fun is the notion of what new stuff are we going to see? What new stories can we tell? I'm in the very, very beginning phases of trying to think about it, and I really don't know what I'm doing yet." So look, either he doesnent really know what he's going to do these movies about, or he's just not telling us. Whichever way it is, I have to say this. I want it to be something that stays away from what we already know. If they're not going to do Old Republic, I don't want something that connects to the Star Wars story or the Skywalker story. I don't want to see a Boba Fett movie. I don't want to see an Obi-Wan trilogy. I know we might get the Boba Fett movie, and in a way, I'm okay with it. But I don't want to see stuff where they feel like they have to connect to, make stuff work perfectly. I mean, Rogue One, for as much as I like that movie, I mean, they didn't do it as much as I was afraid they were going to. I was afraid they were going to try to jam in more of C-3PO and R2-D2 and stuff, but no, they just had their little cameo, which was fine. Unlike the prequel trilogy, which felt they had to puzzle piece everything. I don't want to see this new thing, be a thing that they feel like they have to connect every little thing. I mean, it would be cool to see, some stuff that plays in later to, say, episode 9 or something, but like a little bit here or there. But I don't want to see something that will give away, future episodes. I just want to see him do something cool, because it's a big galaxy. There's many characters that haven't been created yet, or characters they haven't really explored, that there's so much more they could do than feel like they have to link it to the Skywalker sagas. So, yeah, if they do anything, I want to see something new. I mean, the only character I could see, if they're going in the past, the only character I could really see them latching on to would be Yoda, because he's, 900 and some years old by the time Jedi rolls around. So, he would have an excuse to be there. But then again, it's still a big galaxy. So, I don't want to see a Yoda trilogy either. It's going to be complicated and tricky with what he's trying to do. But I just want to see him try something different. They're going into too many familiar territories with these spin-off films and everything. I understand doing Rogue One. That one makes sense. But when I heard they were doing the Han Solo movie, to be honest, I'm hoping I'm surprised by it. But being that they pretty much sounded like they had to start over with whenever the directors left, and then they brought in Ron Howard, I have this feeling that one could be a mess. But it's like, oh, we're going to do an Obi-Wan movie, and we're going to do a Boba Fett movie, and we're going to do a Han Solo movie, and we're going to do this guy, and this guy, and this guy. Do something new, and I think they're probably not going to release anything. If he knows what he's doing, they're not going to release anything until after they see how The Last Jedi does. Now, granted, it's going to make bank, and we know it's going to make bank. I got a feeling it'll take Avatar spot worldwide, especially if it's good. People were worried about The Force Awakens. That's why it didn't take over Avatar's worldwide box office. But I think now that people are confident that, the Star Wars sagas can be good again, I got a feeling if this one's good, it's going to be the highest grossing movie worldwide ever, until, of course, Episode 9 comes out. And that's, once again, if Episode 8's good. But yeah, I just want to see him try something new. And another side note, it came out that J.J. Abrams never really left the Star Wars new saga. Just a few notes here that though Ryan Johnson did take over Episode 8, he just kind of still had JJ as almost a Jedi Master, where he's a Padawan. There's a quote here that says, "If I had questions, what do you think this is going to be? What were your ideas for this?" He could always ask him. But it says, those questions only address what these characters want and how they get there. It sounds like Johnson had a lot of control, but that JJ, though I don't even know if he was a producer on these movies, he still had some influence on what was going on. And granted, now that he's coming back for Episode 9, and thankfully Trevorrow is gone, because, man, after seeing Jurassic World, and I know some people like that dumb movie, fine, but after that movie and after the Book of Henry, I'm so glad that Trevorrow was off Episode 9. When they announced him for Episode 9, I freaked, because it's like, oh great, we got, JJ did a good job, and I like Ryan Johnson, but so it's like, now you're going to give it to this guy. But now he's gone and JJ took over. And I know he's not the most popular choice. But, you know, at least he's going to keep it consistent. So you either love it or you hate it. And he's at least going to keep it together. I think in a way I kind of would have liked him to do all of them. But then again, I'm curious to see what Ryan Johnson would do, especially since now they're giving him this trilogy. The last story I want to talk about is apparently J.J. Abrams, and they're putting this on the fast track at Paramount. J.J. Abrams Quentin Tarantino pitched a Star Trek film to J.J. Abrams and Paramount, and they are moving really fast on this. I find this a little surprising because, first of all, I find it interesting because I've said for years that Quentin Tarantino should do a sci-fi film. After he announced that he was doing Hateful Eight, I'm like, why are you doing another Western? I mean, yes, you know, Django was great, but do something different. You've done Kung Fu, you've done gangster, you've done Western, do sci-fi, right? Well, now he's finally going to do sci-fi. What I find really interesting about this, though, is that Tarantino said he would only agree to really do it is if it could be a rated R, and they agreed to it. Paramount and JJ agreed to let him do a rated R Star Trek film. And one thing that I'm finding curious about this, and we might talk about a little bit more next week when I get to think about it a little more on whether or not I think this is a good idea. I mean, because though I don't watch the show, apparently on that new Star Trek show, they dropped some F-bombs and people weren't too happy about it. Fans of Star Trek weren't too happy about it. You know, him getting to do this R-rated Star Trek film is just insane. You know, I want to see it, but well, maybe we'll talk next week if I think it's a good idea. I just have to think about it. It's something I just read today. But I do find that crazy that they're doing it. Apparently, though, Tarantino's not going to be writing it. He's going to be working on his Manson movie, and I don't remember who's producing it. I know that, of course, the Weinstein Company isn't anymore. They were going to, but he got it somewhere else. I can't remember who picked it up. So he's going to be working on that while they write this Star Trek movie, and then he is going to direct it. I don't know if this was the ideal sci-fi movie I'd like to see him do. I'd like to see him do his own, but hey, he's going to get a chance to do sci-fi, and then maybe after that, sometime he'll do his own. But maybe he'll get to make it his own. I don't know how many. I have this feeling he is going to clash with the studios, and we'll talk about this more next week because I think Tarantino, even with his Manson movie, he's going to run into some problems with the studios because, you know, he was given a lot of freedom with the Weinsteins. They kind of just said, do what you want and make us money. They stayed out of his way, and I don't know if other studios are going to do that, especially Paramount, especially with a known franchise. We'll talk about that a little bit more next week. So, yeah, that's going to be all for Get on the Mic this week. And again, I just want to remind everyone I'm going on a bit of a internet fast. I'm going to upload this, and then probably not going to hear much from me. I am going to release a critical reviews about the movie Zero Charisma on Monday. But other than that, I'm probably going to stay a lot off of the internet until I see The Last Jedi, because I ain't letting the idiots out there that want to post stupid crap, whether it be real or not. You're not going to ruin it for me. I'm going to enjoy it the way I like to enjoy a Star Wars movie, and I'm not going to let the dumb people on the internet ruin it for me. That's going to be all for this week. I hope you guys enjoy this program. Please let me know what you think about this program in the comments below. Whether you like it, hate it, whatever. Let me know what you think about it. I got to say, I have a lot of fun just sitting in front of this mic talking. You know, I feel a lot less pressure than I do when I do my regular reviews and everything, where I feel like I have to perform. This is just me getting to just to be me, and I don't really edit this. I just kind of just throw it out there, and I enjoy doing it. I just enjoy making a few notes and getting to say what I want to say, and I hope you guys enjoy it too, because for me it's a lot of fun. And as always, thank you so much for listening. I do appreciate everyone that watches my stuff on this channel, listens to this program. I have a lot of fun doing it for you guys. This channel ain't just about me. I know my name is in the title, but that's because the real Gino just sounded clever and I thought it was funny. This channel is about those of you that listen to it. It's for you guys too, because I like to hear everyone's thoughts on everything. I like to hear people's opinions, good or bad. I like to try to keep things cool here, but, I like to have debates about movies too, so, and about other entertainment things. We just try to keep it nice and civil on this channel. I enjoy what I do, and I do this because I want to interact with people, so please feel free to comment in the section below. Like I said, we'll try to keep it civil. There's going to be trolls out there. We'll deal with them when that stuff happens. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Gino Reynolds from The Real Gino. Thank you for listening. Until next time.